Hello everyone, my name is AP the Weird One, and I want to discuss something regarding Digimon Liberator, maybe the comic books a little bit, sort of how things are going to change. So this morning I was watching the downfall of the anime community by A-Burage, and I kind of had a bit of an idea, a bit of a thought process, and something that had been working in my brain. When I read the novel side of Liberator, I read it very fast, and I don't feel like I really enjoy it. I'm out of breath, and I don't really give my thoughts to it when I get done. Now, I do appreciate doing the kind of like the live reactions, like if there's something really cool, but I feel like that's sort of a bit lost. And like even the last set of novels, I mean, they were kind of disappointed that there was no new Digimon or whatever. But they were still very good information, and I do want to expound upon that. And I want to talk about that a little bit more. I'm out of breath. I have to go take my dog for a walk. I don't like how the approach. And the subsequently happens with the manga side as well, where I'll read it, but I don't like give my overall thoughts. I kind of don't let myself digest it. It's just like I don't process it all that well. I'm like, I should, drop it and then come back to it. I don't know. I understand it's a raw reaction, but I feel like I want to add more to my commentary, more to it, sort of like a review. So I want to change things up. And I'm going to do this in this episode, but basically how it's going to go forward is I'm going to record my live reactions to reading the novel, the manga. The manga I'm going to read aloud, but the novel side I'm going to silently read because I can read a lot quicker. And if there's things that are good, I'll talk about it. And I'm going to put those at the end. I'm not sure if I'm going to put that at the end of the video or at the beginning of the video, but I kind of want to save my reactions, sort of my initial thought processes. Maybe I'll include in the beginning of the video, and then when it'll switch over, I'll give my review, overall thoughts, and I'll come back to the next day. Same way with the manga. I'll read it aloud, give my initial thoughts, and then maybe I'll come back the next day, read some comments, and see about some things, see how things changed. And with that said, let's go over the novel side, the latest two novels that were presented, Debug 7.1, Debug 7.2, Debug 8.1, Debug 8.2. And I'm not going to spend too much on these, although these first two I'm more interested. So the first group I want to talk about is 7.1. And when I was getting prepared for this video, I was thinking that 7.1 came after 7.2, which I'm thankful it isn't because I want to do it this way. But the character, the story is around Arise, Close, and VE or Violet in Boots. They're having their moment. This group discussion was happening around the time Shoto was doing his quest, which we will pick up on. They're having a nice chat, and I really like this photo for a couple different reasons. If you're not aware how tall these characters are, you may think that Close is a bit gigantic, although she doesn't seem too much more gigantic to Arise. But I remember, I saw one comment saying online that Close is like, "Well, I didn't know she was 5'8". I knew this, and these other two characters are a little bit similar in height. Well, I'll show how their height. Arise is 5'4", Violet in Boots is 5'1", and yes, Close is also 5'8". She's 5'8'7", so she's a very tall girl in terms of Japanese culture. For American, maybe she's a little bit on the taller side. When I think of tall women, I think of something more like 5'9" or 6 foot tall. But it kind of gives that impression, for at least to me, an American, that she's actually that tall. She just looks gigantic, even with her boob size and everything. She gives it a giant appearance. But we learned through this episode that Close is indeed a digital life form similar to Unchained. She is the little sister, so to speak, and that she did come after her. And these two characters absolutely love her for a few different reasons. They love how perfect her hair is, that she has a lot of freedom. She can enjoy the game all she wants, whereas these two have to live basically a normal life. And you should kind of reflect on, she wish she had the freedom that these two had, but in the same respect, everybody is different, as a different form of freedom. One of the reasons she's jealous of her hair is because her hair is always, Rise's is always screwed up, doesn't look very nice, and Violet says, that's because you do all-nighters and everything. You don't take care of yourself very properly. Which That does happen. I don't necessarily have that problem, given I have very short hair, everything. But from a girl's perspective, yeah, that's most likely to happen. They're chatting about. They love touching her hair. They love the freedom. They love being with her, and she likes that. She likes being friendly. She likes that they like her more than what she's intended. We find out close is actually very important in terms of story, in terms of the game mechanics of the Liberator world, and it definitely gave off a bit of a red flag, or like, oh, something is definitely bad going to happen to her, because we do find out that because of the unique emblems, they make them work. So the ability to digivolve, to interfere in battles, that sort of stuff, that gives the debugging team their special abilities. And the reason the cards, Syndramon and even Zaphagamon, the reason they were locked out is because they were unknown to her, and they needed to kind of be a part of her to unlock. Now, these guys would eventually find out, Arise and Venu. I'm not sure if Shoto picked up on the fact, but that's kind of what they kept. It sounds like they did pick up on that, and they're like, oh, thank you very much, and that they want to definitely be more friends with her, considering her thing. But we also learn about a little bit more about Arise, and that her family has been a bunch of doctors, and that she kind of wants to continue the trend, even though her parents said no. But they do want her to get good grades and get into a university. They do want to do that, so she's been working hard, and she's going to have to leave Liberator for a little while to take care of her studies, and that's kind of where she limits the freedom. Like, she loves this game so much, but because she has to do real life stuff, she can't enjoy it, and that's why she lives close. She has that kind of freedom. She can enjoy this great game, and eventually they're going to be able to spend more time together with the addition of a new technology by Tail to the remote access virtual setups, like something you saw in Shangri-La Frontier, or something like modern day. See today, they have that opportunity. But we also kind of learn about Arise has an older sister, and potentially that is the last team member. Yeah, this might be her. But the similarities between there and Close, in that they're very free-spirited. They travel around the world with no care, but they also get worried on weird things. But they're definitely a lot more different. Close is very reserved personality, whereas her sister is very much talkative. And she's like, there's someone on the debugging team like that. And I wonder if they're that way. Like, if they're related to all, but she's like, I won't pry into family affairs. But she also thinks about Unchained as well, who also has purple eyes. And so maybe she thinks like, maybe that's another reason you can connect to their relationship. But yeah, I thought it was a very good chapter. It, like it said, it's not the most like action packed, but it definitely, there's some flags that can be drawn. Could something happen in Close? Like, this story has just gotten started, and anybody who says like, oh, it's going to end in May or something is like, no, it's not. We still got a bit of a long way to go. Now, it could transform when we see the Digimon Con. It could transform into something else. It could be more than that. Maybe it could become an anime. But for the time being, it's a novel. It's a web series. We'll see if it changes, but I definitely think it's going to continue. There's more to that story. Now, let's move on to 7-2. And I do have quite a bit to say about this. We get the perspective of Muchomon, Shoto's original partner. You could consider him the sidekick to Terramon. We hear about a lot of his inner thoughts and him just chatting with Terramon. And this happened in between the week. They no longer had access to the game. The maintenance down, so this is before the Arise and Shoto became the debuggers, and they before I used to challenge who's Yao. It's in that right time frame. And these two are chatting. He's like, aren't you, and you laments are like, hey, aren't you jealous I'm here? I'm his trump card and everything. And and he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm glad to be here with Shoto. I have this good time. I don't worry about you. It's all good. But he does get upset. But he realizes that, Shoto needed Terramon. It helped him improve as a person and even as a duelist. And he was necessary to make his deck better. And he definitely doesn't. Yeah, at first he kind of feels like he's going to be left behind, but eventually it comes to pass. Like, he's still very much part of the team. And I still think he's definitely much more important as in terms of tech evolution. He gets his own evolution. He becomes medieval Gallantmon, and Shoto does still like Muchomon. He's got the car burners, these little green things, which at first he doesn't actually have, but then he does. This picture doesn't show, but hold on, if I look down. I go to characters actually. Like, yeah, if we look at Shoto in the first couple of chapters, chapter 1, chapter 0, chapter 2, and even a little bit in chapter 3, he doesn't have these carbiners, but he does add them, and that's symbolization to Muchomon and subsequently even medieval Gallantmon. They kind of go well together. So that's nice. I love the fact that Muchomon has a big story. He got to digivolve into Kakatorimon and be his ride partner, because Terramon can't do that, even as Galemon. Maybe he can do it as Grand Galemon, but it doesn't seem he's like a lot of, like, Shoto would be too much of a pain to carry him, whereas Muchomon, he could do it as a Kakatorimon, but even if he digivolved into Paramon and Eaglemon, he would have a lot more viability with that. But yeah, I just love the fact that Muchomon's still part of the story. I love this artwork. It's now my new background. But I want to talk about his deck evolution, Shoto Kazuma's deck evolution, because these two have some commonalities between each other, and there's been some reveals in the Digimon card game. So, in BT21, this kind of angered me a little bit. I mean, I don't have a competitive understanding of Digimon a little bit, or the card game, but I do know a little bit about it, and I keep up with it. I see the cards and everything. I like seeing the reveals. And we get introductions to the Wind Guardians family. They're coming in BT21. And it looks like Puppetmon's line is the only one that's going to be green, which is kind of cool, where there's going to be Mushmon. But yeah, I do believe Chernomon is going to also be part of it. But let's say on the fact with Wind Guardians, why this is important to Shoto Kazuma's deck. Well, when the Wind Guardians Vital Bracelet came out, Pendulum Color Edition, there are some interesting developments. We know that Terramon was a special unlock to that group. His entire evolution line is part of the Wind Guardians. And not only that, but Daramon, Kiwimon, they're all part of it as well, much like Puppetmon, much like Safagamon, and they're all in Shoto's deck. Terramon digivolves into medieval Gallantmon in the side story. So, could Shoto's deck become more Wind Guardian based? Muchomon is also Wind Guardian, same with Kakatorimon. He could definitely include these cards, and you could have Daramon digivolve into Griffamon, and then Jogras evolve into Chernomon, because that's also part of the equation. If we look to Chernomon, it says choose one. Choose Puppetmon from the Wind Guardians color. You could do Hydramon, Griffamon. So we have that option, and usually when we do the Wind Guardians or Nightmare Soldiers, the Nature Spirits, and the Deep Savers, they all seem to be kind of like enemy types. But given the connection to Shoto's deck and everything, this may be like a trial where maybe he battles Puppetmon or even Hydramon, and he's like, in order to evolve, you need to battle me, and then he gains these cards. He gains Chernomon, he can gain Griffamon, Puppetmon. Like, they can all incorporate into his deck. I think is very interesting. But I'm kind of like the note of this deck, something to talk about Owen Dreadnought, because Owen Dreadnought every character does have a sidekick character, and I'm wondering where Owen Dreadnought's sidekick, because he's gonna be red. His digital monster is gonna be red, but we don't know if it how the connections be. I'm sort of thinking that his deck is going to combine with one of the heroes. Like there's going to be a combination between the two, because he does originally have Agumon, so maybe he's going to have like a hero / adventure deck, not with Elizamon, so they'll have some kind of support. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of room for that. Actually, well, now we can. I guess we can show. I can show my Word document, but this is currently the list for for the set. Like there is a lot. Like there's not too much red left. Like Elizamon's gonna have to probably be number 8. So there's not. I would say there's not a lot of room for, say, a sidekick character. But then again, we could see some other colors. I don't know. Actually, there is a lot of red. So maybe I don't know. Or I'm also thinking there can also be some blue in there. So maybe, I don't know. It just seems like it seems like a very chaotic mess with BT21. So I don't know how well that's going to stack up for the rest of them, the rest of the set. But moving on, let's talk about the last bit of news: the debug 8.2. So this is very much a character development one for Yuki and her partner Itmon. They're obviously part of the debugging team, and they're having a day off. They don't. Yuki doesn't have any classes in the afternoon, so she can spend time with Itmon, and they're doing challenges. And this also takes place right before the events, right before the cataclysm with the Imperial Dramon. They're doing a side quest, and they find Huckmon. And it's kind of funny that with the Huckmon, considering he was also in the Digimon comic books, so making him appearance in Liberator as a combatant is kind of cool. But yeah, this chapter was fine. I mean, I like to see that Yuki is developing, but we do see some of her weaknesses. She is a good player, but she's not like one of the best. She's probably the weakest of the debugging team, and to lead believe. She's a little bit just too precarious, too fast, and too reaction. But yeah, it's kind of, and while she does try and scold, but she's kind of revealed she's still a bit of a dingbat. I mean, I kind of give her the Valley Girl aesthetic. But yeah, she runs into Huckmon. She's got a whole bunch of Digimon alongside her, not alongside him. It's like, oh, these Digimon, I want to protect you. I want to take you to places. And she's like, no, you're friends with Cool Boy who abandoned me and maybe potentially set a monster out to attack me. I don't trust you. If you're going to earn my trust, we got to battle. But he does give her a new weapon. He gives her Heavy Metal Dramon Ace from BT20. And I thought for a split second, I'm like, is it really going to be that card? Like, can it be something different? But no. And these two battle. She ends up winning because of the new Digimon. The victory was kind of seemed a bit weirdly unsatisfactory. Jessamon GX loses to a simple retaliation Punkmon. I don't know. Blocker retaliation Punkmon. It's like, oh, because once his Digivolving effects nullify, like he doesn't really get access to that anymore. I don't know. It just seemed a bit kind of disappointing that it would lose to this, but whatever. Anyway, Yuki wins. They talk about it. They learn about where Huckmon he's been in another video game. And Cool Boy said, "Hey, I want you to come over here, and I can protect you in the Digimon." And then a giant mysterious creature happened. Mechanical creature. My instinct was it was Galacticmon, or maybe an evolution to Vanmon. It was a bit interesting. I'm like, what are you? And it was a bit interesting. It was something brand new, so maybe Galacticmon, or maybe it's level 7 or something. I'm not sure, but it wasn't different Digimon, and there's no way to believe it was exactly Galacticmon or part of the evolution line. It just gives me that thought it might be, considering Galacticmon is super powerful even in Digimon World 3, so it could be something that could give Jessamon a run for its money. So yeah. 8-1 is basically them Itmon and them discovering. Then 8-2 is the battle. It was good. I don't know. I was really hoping to see a new Digimon, but I like that we got we can see a new card. Yuki develops as a person, and just like she's still the same loving airhead that we love, that she is, and that she can upgrade as battle, but she definitely needs to get better. Like she needs to have another trial of sorts to become better. Knows. But then after they talk about it and like, yeah, Cool Boy's this different, not same person. I thought this was originally going to be the Cool Boy from Digimon Chronicles, but no, and maybe I don't know. It could still be the one and the same person, but yeah, I thought that for a split second, but they talk it out, and then she gets a call. It's like, I gotta go somewhere, and Agumon says, I will protect them. I'll be fine. And that was kind of basically the end of that. Oh, it's overall nice. It was a nice group. I like the sevens better than eights. The eights are just kind of okay for me. And I guess before I end this off, I do want to talk about a little bit about the manga aspect. It definitely felt it was and it kind of felt rushed. I thought Shoto would be a little bit more command, but I do think playing Medieval Galmon sooner than later was a good thing considering what we've seen he's going to do. I'm just curious about Cool Boy and his Omekamon and Omnimon X. I'm wondering if something bad's going to happen to Cool Boy, because we got to see those. We got to see those two cards as well, or his 4 cards. And I'm like, wouldn't Shoto win or something? I don't know. It would seem kind of a bit underwhelming when he sees Zafagomon's ace and he still needs to be saved or something. I don't know. There's probably going to be more. We're going to find that on Wednesday. All right, I got to take a break. I'm done talking. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to give an insight to what things are going to be involving with Digimon Liberator, possibly with the layer manga as well. I'll probably do some sort of recap for that and give my overall thoughts. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed my little discussion, a little recap, a little bit more insight, and hopefully you'll like the new change coming. Anyway, have a nice day. See you guys next time.